Can you imagine that being born with facial paralysis could be your greatest gift? Something that some people might consider a serious flaw. And yet, yes, that is exactly the gift I was presented with when I was born, and which, in fact, threatened my survival at the start. And yet, here I am today with the honor of speaking before you amazing female entrepreneurs as a multiple award-winning TEDx and keynote speaker. And I'm super excited because I have been through so many trials and tribulations to be able to show you my 3 keys for how you can turn your perceived flaws or even your trauma into not only your triumph, but your unique and deeply personal trademark. And for those of you who don't know me, my name's Zoe Cross. And apart from keynote speaking, I'm also a mindset, empowerment, and female leadership coach. And I'm super grateful today to be doing and be able to do what I do. But make no mistake, what is also true is that my life has been anything but easy. The thing is, I was born with the very rare Mebius syndrome, a rare form and extensive form of facial paralysis. And one of the things that means is that I cannot smile. Now, I don't think I need to explain in much detail to you just how powerful a smile can be. It is literally a non-verbal door opener between people. It's like a non-verbal connection, heart-to-heart connection, even between strangers who cannot speak each other's language. That is how universal and powerful a smile can be. But to add insult to injury, studies show that people like me who have little to no facial expression are often perceived to be less intelligent, less mentally capable. There is a direct connection in the minds of people who see and meet people like me for the first time. And as a result, I have had to work 2 to 3 times as hard in any situation just to convince people that I am, at least most of the time, all there. And let's not even really go to what it was like as a child, because let's face it, if I had $1 for every time somebody smirked, pushed me aside, stigmatized me, isolated, discriminated against me, or for every time I was verbally or physically attacked, then today I would be a millionaire. But in spite of this, deep down somewhere very early on, I made the decision that I was not prepared to live life on the sidelines. And maybe it was because I also immigrated with my parents from the Republic of Ireland to Germany when I was 9. But somehow I found myself at 11 on a stage for the first time. And not only was the stage foreign territory, but so was the language that I was speaking in, as in German. But my life continued a bit like that, and I ventured out into the world. I lived and studied in England and Japan before coming to Germany about 20 years ago, as a young professional in a Japanese corporation. And by that time, I had 2 university degrees, and I thought, yeah, my career is about to take off. But it didn't happen quite like that initially. I remember it was a Tuesday afternoon many years ago, November, grey, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And my boss suddenly came in and said to me, Zoe, thank you for your work on this high profile European project for the last month, but I've got news for you. Today is your last day in this position, because from now on, you will continue in the back office, because we've hired somebody else to take over the front-facing responsibilities, because frankly, with your face, we cannot let you loose and represent our company. Your face is just too much. Can you imagine what I felt like in that moment? Degraded, rejected, despised, and pushed aside simply because my face didn't fit the mold. And I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever felt that bitter sting of rejection? And if yes, because I know it's a universal fear, then I would love for you to be so kind and so honest as to type an R in the comments. And as I walked home in shock and disbelief that night as well, I realized I had a decision to make. Should I go back the next morning and hand in my resignation there and then? Or should I bite the bullet and stay and fight for my visibility, fight for my career? Well, the reason that I'm standing here in front of you today is because I decided to stay and fight. And with hindsight, I realized that that was the beginning of my journey, not just to fight for myself, but to walk as a leader and go first, and to take a stand for women the world over who have been called too much, too loud, too shiny, or not enough. And today, my mission is to stand and help and empower ambitious minority leaders, women professionals, women entrepreneurs across the world to rise and lead, and to rise above self-doubt and bias so that they can step fully into their deeply authentic and confident leadership, and to create the wealth, impact, and joy that they've always dreamed of creating, minus the burnout. And you may wonder how I climbed out of that hole where I had been rejected. Well, what I'm going to be sharing with you now are the 3 keys that I've distilled over the years into 3 steps. The 3 steps that can help you to overcome any insecurities you may have, so that you can rise above them and to create your most authentic personal brand and trademark. And what I developed I got mentorship, I worked on my confidence, I did a lot of inner work. And what I came up with is the 3-step formula, which I also know as the ARC formula. ARC stands for accepting the fear of rejection and overcoming it. R for radical authenticity, and C for compelling charisma. And I'd like to lay down in more detail what that means, and so that you can walk away with some actionable steps today. So let's dive into it. Step number 1 is A for accepting and overcoming rejection and the fear of rejection. And now this is a very universal human feeling, but let's be honest, if you want to stand up and rise up and be seen, heard, and remembered as a truly magnetic and one-of-a-kind personal brand and trademark, you need to start embracing the fact that you're never going to be everyone's cup of tea, that you can be somebody's amazing glass of champagne. And I know which one I'd rather be. I'd rather be that bubbly glass of champagne that is not liked by everyone, but people rave about if they are fans. And accepting the fear of rejection is about, standing out, daring to stand out. And while people are always, I've heard a lot and I've done a lot and I know it works, visualization is powerful. Success visualizations are amazing and I absolutely recommend them. However, often you need to go a step back before you can go into the success visualizations. And because we're talking about accepting the fear of rejection, it is about looking into the face of fear. And what I do with my clients is I lead them into a potential rejection scenario. So let's say, for example, it's a sales conversations. And I know that many people are afraid and hesitate to do these conversations. And what I do is I lead my clients into a potential situation. We look at exactly what they are afraid of. And then together we move through the situation, look at the eventualities and look at solutions and potentialities. And then we move out of the situation together. And what happens during that time is because I give them the space to really look at those fears and to find solutions for potential scenarios. But not only do they actually face their fear and it then becomes less, what also happens is that they realize that it's not that likely to happen in the first place, but it is by accepting the fact that there is fear and not seeing themselves as less than just because they are afraid. It's totally natural. Then you get the power over your fear. And once you've accepted that, and this you can do this by putting your hand on your heart and on your stomach, and while you're doing that, breathing to the count of 4 in and the count of 4 out deeply, and while focusing on the situation. Because by doing this, you've got this connection to yourself and you're breathing and you are reminding yourself that you are actually in the here and now. You are safe no matter what tricks your mind is playing with you. And by looking into the face of fear, you will lessen it and learn to live and overcome it. So that is the accepting the fear of rejection. And rejection, by the way, is a rite of passage. You need to earn rejection. And it's the people who are the most successful have a lot of hate, but they've learned to deal with it. And so, step number 2, radical authenticity. Now, this is about speaking your truth and showing your true colours, unfiltered and unapologetically. And I'd like to share a story of a client, from a couple of months ago, who is a medium, a kind of medium, and she was always going live on Instagram. But what she found was she would be blinking very intensely while she was going live on Instagram. And she felt very self-conscious about this. And when I asked her what was going on when that was happening, she confided in me that, yeah, Zoe, I'm so concentrating because as I'm speaking, I'm getting all these downloads at the same time. And so I'm really busy, and this is why I am blinking all the time, because I'm kind of getting the downloads instantaneously, and I am processing the thoughts so that I can pass them on to my clients or to my fan base. And guys, when I heard that, I was super deeply impressed. And even now, I have goosebumps because I could feel the power and the passion and the gift that this woman had to bring to the world. And I said to her, why don't you try being more transparent about what is going on for you? Why don't you communicate what is going on when you are blinking, why that is happening? Because that is part of your power. And you know what? She went away and tried it out. And now she is celebrated, not in spite of the blinking, but precisely because of it, because her people, her fans, her clients now really see her for who she is, as a powerful leader and medium. And this is what my message for you today is, that if you dare to show your vulnerability, the people who really connect with you will see that as your strength, power, and resilience. And even more importantly, possibly, is that they will form this connection with you. And connection beats perfection any day. We don't need perfection. What you need is connection. And you get that by being authentic, by daring to share what you really think, what you stand for, and yes, what you don't stand for as well. So radical authenticity is your second key of the ARC, the ARC formula. And thirdly and finally, the C for cultivating compelling charisma. Now, you may be wondering, oh my goodness, charisma, ooh, how do I achieve this? Well, actually, it's relatively simple. Well, it is an art, it needs practice. But if you master the art of facing the fear, accepting the fear of rejection, and walking with it, living with the fear of rejection, and daring to become more radically authentic in who you are and what you stand for, that combination will lead to connection and charisma, because you will no longer be everyone's cup of tea. You will become that glass of bubbly for your ideal people. So when you dare to master the fear of rejection and speak your truth, you will become magnetic. when you dare to speak to your strengths, but also about your so-called weaknesses, you will start to build something magical. And you will start to light up rooms with your powerful presence. Because you are, by now, if you understand who you really are, you will be 100% okay with who you are. And that in itself will lead you to stop judging yourself and judging others. And people will feel that. They will feel that energy. You will have more bandwidth to accept yourself and others and invite others in. Because your stories, however painful, will become the inspiration that draws others in and is way more magnetic than any polished and practiced version of you can ever be. Again, connection and charisma always beats perfection. And so there we have it, the 3 keys, the ARC formula for you to develop your deeply authentic and personal brand and trademark. So to summarize, ARC, accept the fear of rejection as a rite of passage. Because if you don't have haters, you don't have lovers either. You will polarize. You are here to polarize. You are not here for everyone. You are here for those people who get you. And that is attained by being radically authentic. And then to cultivate, by doing these 2 steps, you also develop that amazing, compelling charisma. And I'd love to know, of those 3, the fear of rejection, the radical authenticity, and the charisma, which of those 3 do you think is the most challenging for you? I would love to hear that. I would love to hear from you. 1, 2, or 3. Which is the most challenging? Which would you love to work on and take away with the most? And just before I go, I'd love to give you a quick update on my life, because I had burnout last year, and this winter I spent about 3 months in intensive therapy. But on the 11th of February, I was released, and just 3 days later, on Valentine's Day, I got married for the first time, at the tender age of 52, I might add. And not only that, not just in my business life, which is taking off, there is momentum, and my personal life. And in all aspects of my life, I am seeing and sensing a crazy alignment and momentum. And I realized that it is because I made a decision last year, late last year, early this year, while in therapy, to implement the ARC formula, not just in my business, in my keynote speaking, but in all aspects, areas of my life. And that is what I wish for you too, because you deserve momentum. You deserve to be seen, heard, and empowered as a deeply authentic and one-of-a-kind personal brand and trademark. Because the truth is, we all carry our imperfections, but your so-called flaws do not need to be your weaknesses if you allow yourself to see them as the secret superpowers that you have. So be proud of your difference and let the world share in your brilliance. Because when you dare to speak boldly, your voice becomes a melody, a beautiful melody that touches, inspires, and empowers. So, in other words, accept the fear of rejection. Be radical in your authenticity and create that compelling charisma. In other words, turn your trauma into your trademark. Thank you.